No, but even in times of danger, one was crossing the road and a car was coming, and you'd think that his head would say, best start flying. Yet he just walked faster.
Well,
what's he doing?
It was doing stuff, wasn't it? It saved a bit of energy. Takes a lot to take off, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's either that or you're going to get crushed.
But it didn't get crushed, did it?
No, I don't think it did. No.
There you go. They knew what he was doing, didn't it?
Yeah, it just annoyed me. That's all. It's got a power, and it's not
power. They're all superpowered. These animals.
But that's why he thinks of the stick insect as like that. You mentioned earlier that's its power, that's its skill. Like Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider, and now he can solve crimes and swing with webbage, using his webbage. Whereas, yeah, stick insects is not. It's not a superpower.
But say if everything was at the same size as us, what would be the best thing to be? Say like a tarantula.
Yeah.
And a tiger. What would happen there?
A 15-stone tiger versus a 15-stone tarantula.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine the 15-stone tarantula.
Right, so it's just weird that, innit? It's a good job that they're small. Yet things are getting bigger because we're messing with the world.
But it's a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it? Because what would it eat? 15 stone. Well, it wouldn't happen anyway, because insects have insects and arachnids and invertebrate arthropods in general. They have a critical mass because they haven't got lungs. They breathe through things in their side called spiracles, and if it gets too big, the surface to volume ratio isn't big enough to allow it enough oxygen. So the biggest you'll find is like a foot-long beetle or something weird
it's
like
big
that.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's about as big as they get.
So
I wouldn't worry about it.
Again, based on nothing, he queries you.
And also, it's not a case that one that'll be born too big and can't breathe. It won't happen. That's why they're only that big, because.
But it's like fish, isn't it? How they say about a goldfish.
Yeah.
That thing about a woman who went on holiday and stuck it in a bath. She came back, it was 7 foot.
Right, that didn't happen.
No, that's a well-known thing about
goldfish. No, it's not a
goldfish.
well-known thing.
What?
I'll tell you why. Because a fish will only grow to its surroundings anyway. So...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have to put it in a bigger tank.
Yeah, in a bath.
No, a 7-foot fish in a bath. It just fit the bath exactly, did it?
When she got back off holiday...
Don't talk shit. What was it eating? What was it eating?
How long was she gone for? 2 million years?
Yeah. She went to Mars and back.
Yeah.
It's just that fish are weird, aren't they?
Well, no, no, that's a bollocks story, once again.
No,
I don't know where you've heard it or read it.
It's a well-known story.
A 7-foot goldfish in your bath.
But, no, fish are weird.
Ted, you're not going to believe this. Come up here.
Well, how many fish do you see that have naturally died? That's the weird thing.
What do you mean?
Just ping-ponging around these ideas in your mind.
You just never see fish sort of just floating about in the water and you go, oh, died of old age. It's always been caught by a man or a shark's at it. You don't just see dead fish washed up, do you? When you think of the amount of fish... No, when you think of the amount of fish that are in the sea, there's loads of them, and yet you never...
Because they're eaten straight away.
That's what I'm saying, though. Are they eaten when they're dead, or are they just being eaten?
Well, most things like that don't die of old age.
Yeah, that's weird, though, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's it's a jungle out there.
Yeah, no, that's why I said I wouldn't want to live in the sea. Because you've got to
Are you sure you're not on morphine as we speak?
No, but in the sea, you've got to be constantly sort of alert, haven't you?
Yeah, but that's true of all animals.
No, worse than the sea. The sea is like full of... you've got an enemy around every rock.
I love it! I love it! It's like a warning to crabs
Exactly.
and young squid. It's like the policeman that comes into your school.
Yeah.
What advice would you give... Okay, then. What advice would you give...
Some plankton.
Now, what advice would you give a 2-week-old octopus?
And what am I? Am I an octopus?
No, you're you. We've set it up that it can understand you with some sort of one of your inventions to talk to the animals. One of your brilliant inventions is just a watch you strap on its tentacle and it can understand human talk. I'm sure you'll come up with that one day. What do you say to it? What would you say to an octopus, a young octopus? who wants to set out by himself in the sea.
Stay close to the rocks, and just let it know about the thing about it can get into a small space. You know, if you look at an hole, don't go, oh, I can't get in there, and sort of squash it and show itself. I can roll it into a ball and sort of say, look at that. Is that hurting?
I love the fact that the drugs make no difference. It's like there's no difference. Oh, God.
Because that's the only thing that's got in it. It's boneless. So
That's its special power.
that's what it can do. You can roll it up, and as long as it knows that. But that's the problem with a lot of powers, isn't it? That's the same thing about how people say don't have a go at bees because they're not like wasps. They don't sting you because once they sting you, they die. That doesn't know that, does it?
It's also not true, but yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't know, so it's not like the bees going around going, I'm not going to sting you because I'll die if I do.
What's your point there? I don't understand.
I'm just saying...
We shouldn't dislike bees.
Well, how do these creatures know what to do?
Instinct.
I suppose it's like that story you told me about the scorpion, isn't it? It's that, innit?
What, the scorpion and the frog?
Yeah.
What, the fable?
Yeah. What was it? It was a frog going...
the scorpion needed to get across a river, and it said to a frog, can you give me a lift? And the frog said, well, no, of course not, because you'll sting me. You're a scorpion. And he goes, well, no, why would I do that? If I sting you and I'm in the water and you drown, I drown. And the frog went, good point. So the frog gives him a piggyback, going across the river, halfway across, the scorpion stings the frog, and the frog's dying. And the frog's going, no, I'm going to die, and you're going to die. So why did you do that? And the scorpion said, because I'm a scorpion. What do you think that was meant to point out?
Just sort of be careful who you help.
No. It's meant to point out that you are what you are. You are your nature.
No, but it's also that thing of like...
I'm telling you, it's nothing to do with
if
what
you're
the frog was...
driving and
no.
someone's hitchhiking, don't pick them up because...
No, it's nothing to do with the mentality or the reasoning or the anything to do with the frog at all. The point of it.
Well, I don't know. I think Aesop was thinking a lot about the hitchhiking problem.
It wouldn't happen. That's the problem with a lot of them fables. They're putting animals together that wouldn't meet.
Oh, whereas insects go around shagging leaves.
Well, insects are with the leaves, whereas I don't know where a scorpion is knocking around with a frog. I mean, there's that weird one I remember
He's
watching.
annoyed.
I remember hearing something about this lizard that sort of gets pally with the scorpions, even though they're not mates, they don't get on. But they've kind of got this agreement that the scorpion can live in their house if they guard it. And there's the local people used to stick their hands down these holes and get the lizards to make slippers out of them. And the lizards were getting sick of this. And I think somehow something happened where the lizards thought, look, enough's enough. We'll let you sleep in our den if you stand by the door. So the scorpion used to like stand by the door and stay awake at night whilst the lizard's having a kip. Fella comes along wanting to make some new slippers, puts his hand down the hole, scorpion gets him. Now that's what's weird with that two enemies have worked together.
It's called a symbiotic relationship. But at no point did they sit down and go, right, what we're going to do? I'll tell you what, I'll give you shelter. You give me that sting in case there's a fella who wants to make slippers. Because all this happened way before people were making slippers.
But isn't it weird, though? Because people, there's nothing that happens like that in people, is there?
Of course there is.
What, like that, where you don't get on but you work with them?
Of course there is.
What?
Loads of business relationships. What do you mean?
No, but
Team up,
normally you
even though
stay...
they're
What I mean is you
essentially
stay
enemies.
away. If someone's being a bit weird...
Loads of examples where you might go, well, I hate to do it, but my only option is to go with X, Y and Z.
But what I'm saying is, though, let me just finish.
Go on.
I live in an area where, you know, I sort of know a lot of the locals. And there's a local woman who's a bit mad. Now, I know her, but I choose to sort of stay away because it scares you a bit, doesn't it, when something's like that and it's unpredictable. So, you know, when I was in the little corner shop, she came in, right? She screams a lot, just screams for the sake of it, and you don't know if she's upset or if she's just doing it for attention. Then the scream will go from screaming to laughing. So you're like, oh, what's going on? And it was like rush hour. It was like rush hour time in this shop, and she chose to go in then, and she doesn't work, so it was like, why is she coming in now? She's had all day to go in. Just picked the busy time. And she was like about 3 places in front of me, and she was only buying a Yorkie and some earbuds. Right? And I thought,
A Yorkie and some earbuds?
yeah, and I thought, what's the rush? You've come at the wrong time, and you bought stuff that could have waited. You should never have to rush out for a Yorkie or an earbud, is what I'm saying. Right? And I ended up sort of going, oh, I can't stand this, and I left. Now, that was me being like I would expect the scorpion to be, or the lizard.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
I have
I don't
no
know where
idea.
okay, what do you mean?
No, I'm just saying how, like, I chose that woman could be dangerous, so I'll leave her to it. And that's where nature kicks in. And you go, I don't want to be here. I don't know what she's going to do. She's unpredictable. I'll pop back later. And then, I look out, I can see the shop. I saw her go, and she was, like, laughing to herself again and trying to climb up some ladders. And I thought, once she's gone, I'll nip back. I don't know what my point was. I don't know. That's this week's monkey.
Oh, chimpanzee, that monkey knew it!
There was this airline, and it's having a lot of problems, and a lot
What,
of
pilot's too tall?
Yeah, the cabin was so tiny.
Only bananas were allowed in the cockpit for fuel.
Anyway, there was a lot of strikes going on, right?
Sure.
Because I don't know what it was about. It was over money or whatever.
Yes.
And the
Well, get something that doesn't need money.
yeah, but
Well,
But what else could you pay something in,
Well,
Rick? I mean,
peanuts.
everyone would...
So-
okay, peanuts or fruit, yeah.
so anyway, the boss of the airline, he had like one pilot who he could trust, right? And that was his son.
right.
But the problem is with a lot of these planes, you need 2 pilots.
Of course you do.
And he's like, if only I had 2 sons, but he didn't. There's no point harping on about it. Right?
Sure.
He runs an airline.
He runs an airline, yeah.
But how many pilots are there? Because there must be loads.
No, there's loads, but the problem is a lot of them are going on strike.
Oh.
And each week you can see that we're struggling here. We
But how
haven't
can
got
they?
enough
But
pilots.
it was just the pilots that were striking, was it?
Yeah, the pilots were striking, yeah.
So all the ground staff and luggage handlers and all that was okay in the cab.
They were fine, it's just pilots
Right.
were not happy with the deal and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, just close it down.
No
Anyway,
way, you can't do that,
No,
Rick.
I can't.
Of
Course you
it's
can't
costing
do
him a
that.
fortune if he closes it down.
Yeah, but what one plane's not going to make a difference in an airline, is it?
No, it's all the
It's all the
planes.
planes, mate.
Yeah, I know exactly. So if he's only got one person he can trust, knock it on the head.
No. What's the point? You've got to keep going. You can't just nip stuff in the bud like that. If you got a dream, keep it alive.
I know, but not with one plane and your son.
So anyway,
I don't know.
Well, but that's the least of his problems, Rick, because he's got his son who's a brilliant pilot, he's the only guy he can trust, but it takes 2 people to fly.
Well, you can't fly then.
so the son,
Hmm.
he's flying the planes and that. He's getting worried for his dad because of his business. It's falling
Sure.
apart. He's like, anyway, listen.
Well, one plane won't make any difference.
Don't worry about it. We've found someone who you can work with.
Okay.
And he's like, but I get past the picket line because, they know I'm your son anyway and they'll leave me alone. But any other pilot, they're going to start giving him grief.
They're tearing him to shreds, yeah.
He said, don't worry about it.
Unless he could swing over the heads of all the strikers.
He said he's staying over near the sort of quarantine area where
Oh.
all the animals are kept
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
right, okay.
They won't be looking in there. They won't bother.
No.
So he's like, all right.
But there's no animal that could be a co-pilot, that's why.
I'll see you. He'll meet up with you in the cockpit.
He'll be over in the cockpit, yeah, sure.
So anyway, he gets in there, he meets them. At first, a little bit of a shock who he's going to be working with, but
Why?
he's thinking, as long as I can keep my dad's business alive, I can
Not
keep
with
a
one
job.
plane. Not
So
with one plane.
anyway, what happens is the strike's going on. He's flying. He's
Yeah.
got his mate with him flying, helping out.
Who's his mate? What's his
The
mate's
flights,
name?
the flights are brilliant, right? Everybody's loving them. They can't believe how smooth they are.
Sure.
The shares are going through the roof. Everybody's like wanting to
Because
fly.
this one plane they've got.
Plane, that wouldn't make any difference.
Everyone's saying, it's only a small plane, but it's worth getting on there.
And
if
it's
you
a
can.
small plane as
because it's
well.
a great
Oh,
experience.
gone under, I'd have thought. There's
So
no
anyway-
way they can keep that alive.
Apparently they can.
So they're keeping
Yeah.
this plane up in the air and what have you, and everybody's booking the holidays. It's almost like the favourite bit of the holiday. They're loving the flights that much.
Why?
It's just because it's really good flights.
Just
I
a
don't
great, just a great
understand
flight.
what difference
Apparently it's a great flight.
it makes.
It's
I don't
dynamite.
So
understand
anyway,
what difference it makes.
Everyone's happy. Then one day, what happens is a little bit of a problem.
Oh dear. You're not going to tell us that sort of co-pilot Coco he's not able to make it to work, is he?
Well, what happened is one woman who was on the plane got a bit peckish, right?
Right.
and said to the air hostess woman, said, "I'm a little bit pecky. Have you got any sort of nibbles and that?" She went, "No, I got a sandwich." She said, "I don't really want a sandwich. I want some, like the usual stuff that planes give out, just like a bag of nuts or something."
What, have they not given those out yet?
So no, they don't give it for some reason. She was like, "Look, we've stopped giving out the nuts. We can get you a sandwich."
strange,
And the one was like, "I don't want a sandwich. I just want some nuts." Do you know what I mean? A sandwich is quite a big meal and whatever. I just want some nibbles, want some nuts.
Well, that's not available.
So
Done. End of story.
Can't get your nuts. She said, "Well, why aren't there any nuts?" She said, "Well, the airlines had problems and stuff, and maybe that was one of the cutbacks. We've never took the nuts back on."
Yeah, sure.
So she wouldn't just leave it. She wanted the nuts, right? She's having a lovely flight and everything. She said, I cannot complain about the flight. The
No,
flight
sure.
is brilliant.
Yeah. Whoever's up there flying this place doing a
She's
dynamite
doing a
job.
great job, but I need some nuts.
Right.
Anyway, so there
aren't any.
aren't
Very
any nuts.
demanding woman.
There aren't any.
It's a very demanding woman.
There aren't any.
Look, she's paid big money, right? She's probably in first class. She wants nuts, she's going to get
Nah,
nuts.
there aren't any. Leave it.
If she has to force her way into the cabin to get nuts, she's going to get
Well,
nuts.
she can't go there because she will be shot. Because
So-
with security problems and that, there's no way she could ever go to the cockpit. That would never happen.
So she said, "Well, you're saying there aren't any nuts." She said, "But earlier I saw you put a tray outside the cockpit, right? It had a sandwich on it, 2 Cokes and 2 bags of nuts."
Right.
She said, "So you're saying there aren't any, but the pilot's getting
Well,
them."
aren't they now? That was the last 2 packets. Done.
No.
Let's go
So
home.
she's going, "You can't have any."
We know,
She goes,
we understand now there's a dispute over
So
nuts.
she said, "Well, I'll go and have a word with the pilot myself because you only put them out there a few minutes ago. You can't have eaten them
can't.
yet. I want
You
some.
say you
I'm
cannot
going
go-
over.
no.
I know this is it.
Yeah.
She was saying you cannot go over. She's going,
No.
"Listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to go over because
No,
I feel
no,
like
you
I'm being
can't.
lied to."
No, you can't.
So she goes,
No, there's
and
no
the
way.
pilot can
Well, they
hear all
can't
this
get in anyway.
chat about the nuts and what have you, and he's thinking, "What's going on out there?"
Yeah.
He opens the door.
Yeah.
Right? She gets a glance in. Little monkey sat there with headphones.
Fucking bollocks.
Right. Ages ago, right, about the 1950s,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
there was this gangster knocking about. And do you know how, like,
Was he called Hairy Fingers?
a lot of gangsters like to get into gambling and that?
Yeah, yeah.
And, like all these peers and that, all these mates who are like gangsters and stuff, they've all bought horses, right, that they take racing and they make money from them and that, don't they?
Yeah.
So anyway, he was
Shackles the Seagull was no different.
And he was like, "Yeah, that's a good thing to get into. I might get into a bit of that, right?" So he gets himself this horse, right? And there's a big race coming up. That's why he's he's a bit of a last minute.
And the jockey turns up and it's fine. He's a human jockey and it's fine. Excellent. Okay, well that was another podcast.
So anyway,
please listen.
Oh, hang on,
next.
there's more.
Oh,
hang
go
on.
Oh.
So anyway, this big race is coming up. He's like, "I've got to be involved in this because
definitely.
I can make a lot of money out of my horse here."
Choose the jockey wisely then.
So he says to his mate, he said, "Look, I've got myself a horse and that." He said, "We just need a jockey, get someone to sort it out and what have you, so I can get in this race."
Go to the jockey club. Loads
His
of
mate's
people.
like, "Yeah, all right, I'll have a word and that, have a look round and that, see if there's anyone decent."
And the
knocking out
good thing
there."
about jockeys is there's never been a shortage of jockeys because a lot of them don't make the grade. So there's always too many jockeys to go round.
Always too many human jockeys.
Yeah, there's never a problem getting jockeys.
Fine.
Go on.
So anyway, he comes
Was that
back.
true in the 50s as well?
It's always been true.
always been true. It's always just wanted to
There's
clarify
there's no lack of jockeys.
So-
it's sort of close shot. People are trying to do it and they don't make the grade. So
But in the 50s, from your knowledge, there was not, like in 1951, a shortage of jockeys for just one year.
absolutely never. I've known about
Okay,
that.
fine,
I'm quite
yeah.
keen.
Right.
Go on.
So anyway, right. So his mate says, "Look, I'm having a problem getting a jockey."
Seems odd because
this
Ricky's
is
just
weird.
been saying,
No.
he's just been saying there's not a problem.
What do you mean? So
Just because the main problem was,
Go on.
a lot of jockeys were aware of this gangster and were saying, "I'm not getting involved with this guy. The chances are I won't get paid. He's a gangster. It's not worth it."
would do it if it was a gangster asking you. You'd be scared of the consequences.
So anyway, he's saying, "Look, don't be coming to me with problems and that, right? I've got the horse. I want it in the race. Sort it out." So they're like, "Oh, but boss," and he's like, "Don't give me any of that." Don't
exactly,
sort it out."
they do what he says. So any jockey would do it. Go on.
So anyway, the day before,
The big race, yeah. Left it to the last minute, okay, but
yeah,
fine.
and he says, have you got a jockey then? They're like, "Yeah, but," and he's going, "Don't worry about it. Have you got a jockey?" "Yeah, but," and he's like, "Look."
He wants
what-
to say, sure, yeah.
So,
they won't-
he's saying, "Has he ridden the horses before and that?" He said, "Well, yeah, he has, but mainly," and he's like, "Brilliant." And he goes, "Yeah, but mainly in like a circus."
in the jung...
No, like in the circus and that. He'd worked with horses and stuff.
In the
apparently.
circus,
It's fine.
So he's like, that's enough. That's all I need to know.
Well, they'd be too heavy because circus people
so-
are quite built, aren't they? They're
said
a bit
so-
heavier than the jockey because the jockeys are about 8.5 stone.
He said, "Brilliant. Get him down there and that, right?"
Yeah.
Anyway, the race happens,
He didn't want to meet him beforehand. He wasn't worried.
No
about
point,
that?
not
No,
bothered.
no.
As far as he's concerned,
It's all sorted.
he's putting his money on it and what have you.
Sure.
Right? What happened is they were trying to make him put on the jockey outfit,
Yeah.
but for some reason it didn't fit that well.
Sleeves
And
too
it was-
short,
it was
legs too long.
It's that sort of problem.
Okay.
So they let him, like, you know, wear his stuff that he wore in the circus and that, because he's comfortable with that, he's happy with it, do you know what I mean? That's what he's happy with. Anyway, race starts and what have you. This horse, straight out of the trap and that, high speed, right? This jockey's got a really big grin on his face, he's loving it, right? Everyone's cheering, going, who's this jockey?
Yeah.
It's amazing, never seen him before, and yet, look at him.
But they can see his face clearly.
Anyway, Gangster's happy in that, because he's won.
Well, I just want to say the crowd can see the jockey, can they?
What?
The crowd can. I mean, it's
Yeah, but
face
he's so fast and what have you.
The blur, it's a blur. It's all a blur. Rick.
He's good at it. I mean, apparently he was
Right.
close to falling off, and people were like, he's gone, he's a goner.
Right.
He's got such a good reach that he managed to grab hold
Oh,
of the...
sure.
good reach. Oh.
And
Right,
well, they
so-
could tell he was smiling. They could tell he was smiling, but they couldn't see the detail of his face. Is that right? Just
well,
to clarify that.
He's just blur and that. and
Sure,
he just
but
saw
they could
big
tell he was
teeth.
smiling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they knew he was happy.
At the end of it, do you know, like, the winner sort of rides around the crowd bit,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Sort of, you know, show off and what have you.
Yeah,
And all the women are there, and do you know, like, women are all dolled up at these events.
sure.
They've all got big hats on.
Sometimes they got fruit on those hats.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right.
One of the women,
particularly Carmen Miranda, was very popular. Yeah.
one of the women had like you say, fruit and what have you on it,
Yeah.
little banana.
Right. Some kind of
They're
Cuban
not real.
woman.
They're not real though. The hats. Though they're
not real fruit, is it?
No, of
Yeah.
course not. Never.
So
But I don't know
Really?
who. I thought they wore those sort of kind of Cuban
Yeah, but
entertainment shows. I didn't realise they wore them
yeah,
at
but
events.
even if it's like a big event, you know, you might have a hat with fruit, and it's sort of joke, but it's fake fruit because it would
Yeah.
perish.
Well,
but
this jockey didn't understand that. He'd never seen false fruit.
I don't understand.
But why did the jockey suddenly? Why was he so desperate for fruit? I don't understand.
So anyway, meanwhile, the gangster's collecting his 500 quid winnings.
Yeah.
Right, he's over the moon.
Yeah.
He kicks off because of this woman with the fruit.
Yeah, I don't understand. I still don't understand why the jockey would go.
Everyone noticed. Jockey, little monkey fella.
Oh, that makes sense. If he was a monkey, that would make sense.
Yeah.
What year was this? Because I want to.
It was 1950s, and that's where the saying comes from about, do you know, like in Cockney slang, 500 quid is a monkey. He sort of put, he put a monkey on it. But you don't see that happening, do you, normally?
So you think that if people are unfortunately passing away, sort of visiting Disneyland or whatever, they should
Just learn stuff, just
Sure,
make you
get on the
think
internet and
this-
watch
this
spiders.
world is amazing.
attacking ants.
And just that thing of, last week you were saying how good ants were and how they're brainy and they work hard and everything. Yet none of them they didn't know what they were doing. There was panic going on. You watched them again, they were running backwards and forwards, and I remember like seeing a programme about ants where they're meant to sort of work together as a team, and if they climb up a person's leg, that person stood on their house, say,
Yeah.
and they're all like, oh.
There's a signal and they all bite at
They
the
all
same
bite
time.
at once. Now, if that had done that on that spider, they sort of all go on it, and when they're all in position, one of them sort of goes, no, and it bites, and then it would do some damage, but there was none of that. And
But you've seen things like the Towering Inferno, where even humans panic crazily and jump out of windows and things until Steve McQueen comes along and saves the day. So
yeah, but at the end of the day, when you're in a towering inferno, you were there relaxing on holiday. So, of course, you're going to be relaxed, and the shock of it's going to make you go, oh, I wasn't ready for that, I was sat here in my trunks. Whereas that ants should always be alert.
Well, yeah.
Any insect's life should always be...
What, so for a human scooping up 80 of them, putting them in a bottle with a giant spider?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's what insects do. Their life, they never relax. That's what's weird with an insect. There's no downtime, is there? It's you wake up, you go and get the food, you build your house. That's what you do, so you're always alert. They shouldn't be sort of running around going, oh, what do we do now? That should be in them.
I
They should
love
know
that you're annoyed at these poor
yeah.
ants that were bitten to death.
But also, they say they're clever. I was looking at it. If I was an ant, I would have just crawled under the pile of dead ones. Just sit under there, wait for the spider to go. None of them were doing that. They were all staying on one side and the dead ones on the other. So I'm just saying that, you're always sticking up for insects, saying they know what they're doing. They don't.
Where's this come from? When have I ever stuck up for insects? It's you that's follow them saying they're brilliant and that, and ladybirds are right-handed and Christ knows what.
No, but, so I'd learnt that.
Brilliant. You haven't learned anything.
There's nothing to learn from that.
There's
is there?
nothing you learned from that.
Something about jellyfish, and what else was there? There was this fella. There was a program on the telly about survival, and a fella who he looks after elephants, and he's in this little hang glider, looking for an elephant that he's looking after. He has to keep a track on where it's going and all that. And one day he's saying, "Oh, I haven't seen the elephant today," and the fella's like, well, look for it tomorrow. He's like, "No, it's best if I go and look for it now, because it might go further away or something." He said, "Oh, I wish you'd leave it, till tomorrow." So straight away you're going, "Oh, this is trouble." So he's going out in his glider, sort of at night. He's looking
I
for
doubt
the
it's a
elephant.
glider. I imagine
Well, it's a glider with an engine. It's one of
a
them
light
little-
aircraft then.
Yeah. So he gets in that on his own. He's wandering about in the air, looking down. Like I say, it's loads of land. He's looking for one elephant. He's not having much luck. Anyway, I think he gets to a point when he goes, "Oh, I'm having no luck, I might as well go home." Goes to turn round. Something happens. The glider falls to the floor, crashes.
Light aircraft.
Light aircraft.
Yeah. That crashes. He gets out. He's broke his legs. Done his back in. His hands. I mean, he's in a bad way. And he looks at the plane, and that's a wreck. Petrol's coming out of it. He's thinking that's not going to fly again. And he has to lie there, doesn't he, for like 48 hours or something. And in that time, everything's being chucked at him. He has a lion wandering around him. A scorpion walked over his leg. Some sort of dangerous snake went in his shoe.
Yeah.
What else is there out there? Some sort of bad ants. Just everything that's there that could cause a problem. He had it all in his line.
I haven't seen this, but I suspect there's a lot of conjecture in this telling of
The
it.
bad
you know what I mean?
ants.
Bad ants. And
No, just anything that you could think of that's out there to cause you a bit of a problem.
Camels.
He got hot. He got so hot his lips fell off. No, because you have to have a lot of juice to keep your lips sort of how they are.
Right.
So that's the sort of state he was in.
Yeah.
48 hours. And yet he survived in the end. Someone came and found him.
And you
that-
thought
that
you were
gave me-
bored doing nothing.
Yeah, no, well,
He
that's-
didn't even have the internet.
Yeah, but he had a lot of insects.
what would
to
you
watch.
do then if you landed, right? Supposing we all land, right? We're shipwrecked, okay? There's no food around. But there's a chance we might be saved, like in a few days. We just got to stay alive just for a few days, okay? Steve offers up his penis.
For what purpose?
Well, it's already you've torn it in the plane crash anyway. So it's hanging off. You go, okay, listen, lads, let's eat this. Let's go 3 ways.
I should be so lucky. Okay, fine, yeah.
I'll look for something else. Because we're surrounded by water. Why are we eating knob? There's loads of fish and everything. There's more fish in the sea than there is stuff on land. That was something else that I've read about how there's more sea life happening. There's loads more.
What do you mean? Then what?
Than stuff happening on land.
Well, yeah, it's a bigger place, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's more. They're all coming further in because it's getting so crowded. Everything's being pushed outwards. So we're going to get to a point where people won't go walking in the sea because there'll be something deadly just floating about on near the shore.
Again, that's no information at all.
I don't know,
There's
yeah.
no information in that statement at all.
Yeah, I said how the sea is so overcrowded that everything's being pushed to the edge.
It's not overcrowded.
It is.
You mean things that are in the sea are being pushed to the edge of the sea?
Yeah, because there's new stuff happening all the time. There's new creatures being made. They're changing quickly. They were saying how, like, I don't know, 50 years ago, jellyfish didn't even have a sting.
That's rubbish. Try 50 million and you'll get closer to the truth.
But what I mean is, in terms of, like, land, we all look the same, don't we? We've had 2 legs and 2 arms for ages. Whereas in the sea, things are changing at a really fast rate. So, like, jellyfish we're knocking about.
The sea is a much more stable environment than the land anyway.
What are you on about?
Well, I'd have thought
I wouldn't have thought evolution is any faster in the sea than land.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no. Where's the evidence for this?
The
Well, I'm
internet.
telling you now. I'm telling you how jellyfish have changed. And look at them.
And how have they changed then? So they didn't. 50 years ago, they didn't have a sting. Now they have.
Trilbies. They wore trilbies 50 years ago as well.
And they just spoke with a much more, refined accent.
Just that is quite a lot, though, isn't it? Because jellyfish are nothing.
But
like
no,
I
you've
said to
made
you
that
before.
up. That's not a fact. There's no facts come out of this discussion. Not oh, that's interesting. That you haven't said anything. Jellyfish haven't changed in 50 years.
No, they have. They've changed a lot in terms of...
Well, they haven't changed in hundreds of millions of years, so I don't know what the 60s had to do with anything. I just don't know what influence the Beatles and Mary Quant suddenly had on jellyfish, when they hadn't
Because
changed for hundreds of millions of years.
With all this sort of loose, free sex, free love, they were just going berserk.
I know, yeah.
There were no inhibitions amongst the jellyfish anymore.
Things are changing a lot. To think that jellyfish, when they first came out, they were nothing. Jellyfish are nothing, aren't they? They're just a blob. So
When they first came out,
I
when
know.
they were first released.
New by Ron Kell.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, even though they were nothing, they've grown to have a bit of something, just to get by in a busy place.
I
Which
don't
is the
know
sea.
what you're talking about. It's all guesswork and
It's
conjecture.
not guesswork. I've been
It's
up
all
all week. I've been
nonsense.
reading all this and watching stuff.
Carl, you haven't learned anything.